We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
How you can imagine.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another Toys from the Past. So on today's Toys from the Past, we are going to be talking about some of the knockoff brands of transforming robots that followed on the heels of GoBots and the Transformers. Now, even though I've already covered the GoBots in a previous video, we are just going to go ahead and give a brief rundown of the GoBots line. So, created by Bandai and licensed out to Tonka in 1983 all the way up to 1987 under the rebranded name of the GoBots. This line actually beat the Transformers to the toy store shelves in the 1980s and became extremely popular with no other real transforming robots out there. The craze had begun with characters such as Psykill and Leader 1 leading the way. The GoBots franchise actually took off and was a huge success for both Bandai and Tonka. And under Hasbro, through a partnership deal with Takara that actually started the same year that the GoBots wound up on toy shelves, Hasbro and Takara rebranded the Diaclone and Microchange lines to become the first wave of the Transformers. And with characters such as Megatron and Optimus Prime becoming the figureheads for the toy line, this line was extremely successful and eventually eclipsed the GoBots and pushed them off of the toy shelves. And eventually, Hasbro wound up purchasing the GoBots name and franchise entity. And because of the immense popularity of the Transformers, they are still around to this day and are doing quite well. The toy craze had reached such a fever pitch that every company wanted to get in on it. Now, I have talked about it a few other times in a couple other videos, one of them being Kellogg's Starbots that they included with their cereal brand. And there have been many others throughout the years. The Zybots. Now, this was another cheaper type of toy line that was out there, and it was what it was. It was a cheap robotic changing toy that they threw on the toy shelves. Now, some of the Zybots actually came with a wind-up action motor in the back. And also, Buddy L created the Robotron series of transforming toys. These, of course, were another brand of simple transforming robotic action figures. These almost always had the pullback motor action on them just to have something, because the toys themselves were actually quite cheap. And it is actually quite hard to find ones that are in good condition now because of how poorly they were made. And of course, one of my other videos, I already did an in-depth about this, but then you had the extremely simple conversion process of McDonald's McChangeables. Now, if you look through, they actually did have a few different names, but once again, all these things were coming out in the mid-80s, following the GoBots and the Transformers. Now, it would take me all day to sit here and mention every single low-budget transforming toy that was out there, so I'm just going to stick with some of the ones that I have. And one of the other ones I have is this guy. Made by Tai Fong, the working AM radio robotic radio. And I know it was a very simple name, but they really just didn't need a whole lot else. It was pretty much selling itself for exactly what it was. Here you had not only a working radio, but a radio that turned into a toy as well. They also had made an FM radio version of him and a couple other versions with slightly different moldings. Now, one of the other ones that's actually quite interesting is they did almost an exact replica of Blaster from the Transformers and, of course, the car. And it was, of course, a working radio as well. These were all produced in 1984, and obviously they must have taken the initial concepts from Takar's version of the micro-change lines. And because the Transformers are still a very popular changing robotic toy line, they are still being mimicked to this day. Now, I actually have a few of the newer, cheaper, low-budget transforming toys that I'm showing right here. And while these things are really cheap, you know, some of them are made a little bit better than others, but they are relatively low-budget, cheap transforming toys. Now, they actually sell in some of these places, they sell a lower price point Transformers branded toy. But it's not quite the same as getting one of the knockoffs, because some of these knockoffs are actually quite hilarious on how they're designed. Some of them actually have pretty cool designs. I am in the camp that anything that has some kind of design to it that is kind of appealing in some way, shape, or form is interesting enough for me to get if I can purchase it. Now, these were purchased quite a few years ago when I still had enough money to go out and make purchases like this, but even then they were so cheap that it really wouldn't hurt nobody's budget if they picked up a few of these cheaper toys. Anyway, guys, do you remember any of these knockoff brands of transforming toys? I think that they're absolutely hilarious, and I always try to include a few in my collection. Now, even though my collection, majority of it consists of Transformers, I have GoBots, and as you see, I have Zybots and Typhon, and I had a bunch of other ones that unfortunately I did have to sell because I needed some cash. But do you remember any of these lines? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, my friends, as always, I so appreciate when you show up here and you come by and you support the channel. You don't know how much it means to me. If you like what you've seen and what you heard, go ahead and destroy that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I am glad that you're here. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself, and I hope that you will consider subscribing. Also, guys, I am still going through the thing with the financial mess, and I cannot thank the people in the community enough. To some of my subscribers, some of my friends in the fourth wave and in the YouTube community that have pitched in and helped me out in this time that I actually needed a lot of help. I cannot thank you enough. You do not understand how much it means to me that you guys did this for me and that you've helped me out as much as you have. And I am almost there. I am almost there. I am close. I am over halfway to the goal that I need to pay off my late mortgage. So, of course, as always, please help me out by sharing this out. And if you are just checking this out for the first time and this is the first time you're hearing about it, the links for my eBay and for my PayPal will be listed in the description. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming by. And remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you can and can't watch, what you can and can't do, because your silence gives consent. And I will catch you all next time. Later, y'all.